It's a lot of things that will make you buckle, bro. They make you buckle, bro. And people done lost their families, bro. People done lost their kids. A lot of stuff done happened.
Mainly because it's more dangerous for rappers nowadays.
I mean, this is a touchy subject.
How long has it been like this known about Busta Rhymes?
I knew about this like in 2012. I knew about this in 2012.
How can we think nobody else speaks up on it or says anything?
Because, bro, these people admire these people so much. They want to make sure they in the section, they at the club, they at the video shoot, they can get backstage. That matters most to them. That matters so much to people. It's crazy. Like, but if you notice, like, there's countless videos of Busta Rhymes getting mad at females for just being girls. This girl touched him one time, he go crazy, throw a drink on her and everything. See what I'm saying? Like, what? Why you getting mad at females?
I'm walking through the crowd and somebody grabs my hand. Just softly put their hand in my hand and just holding it. So I look, you know, and I see this big chain that said flip mode. Just diamonds iced out. I look at the chain and I know what flip mode is, so I look up. Now all this happening in split seconds. I look up and it's Busta Rhymes.
Yo, let's get into this messy situation between Busta Rhymes and Diddy that's got everybody talking. You know those legendary Diddy parties we've all heard about? Well, there's some fresh tea brewing about what really went down at those exclusive gatherings. Word on the street is that Busta's been trying to distance himself from these parties, claiming he was never really in that circle, but some new footage is telling a whole different story.
I want to give a shout out to my brothers that have been inspiring me and been my friends for a long time. One of my best friends in the whole world, Busta Rhymes in the house. You know what I'm saying? He's been my friend for a long time, ever since I was like 12 years old. He's my best friend. He's in the house.
But here's where things get real interesting, and honestly, pretty disturbing. There's been some serious whispers going around about what was happening behind closed doors, especially regarding how certain artists were treating upcoming talent. Some people are suggesting that there's more to the story about Busta's involvement in these industry circles, particularly when it comes to interactions with younger artists trying to make it big. We're talking about some DL situations that folks weren't ready to talk about until now.
We made love.
Who you made love with?
Diddy, Bow Wow, Busta Rhymes.
You just told me you seen Busta in the airport too. That motherfucker tried to act like he didn't know you. You smashed Drake?
No, I never smashed.
Oh, you made love to Drake.
And Cat Williams. What's the thing?
Bro, you smashing a lot of people.
What's that name? Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard. Usher. Usher's a gusher. And
what the why you not naming no hoes?
I'm telling you, bro. It's my dad's friends. My dad sicked his baddest friends on me.
Who's your dad?
Lucifer.
Since Diddy's arrest and the FBI raids, there's been whispers about what they found. We're talking about videos, recordings, and evidence that allegedly shows just how deep this network went. Word is, there's footage from these private parties that connects both Busta and Diddy to some seriously questionable situations with young artists. The FBI apparently hit the jackpot with these raids, uncovering what some are calling a black book of industry secrets. Sources close to the investigation are saying that Busta's been acting real nervous since these raids started. Apparently, he's been making frantic calls, trying to figure out exactly what the feds have. The worry isn't just about what's on those tapes, it's about who might start talking now that Diddy's empire is crumbling. Because let's be real, when the big fish starts going down, everybody connected starts looking for deals. What's really interesting is how young artists who were allegedly victimized are finally feeling brave enough to come forward. With Diddy facing serious charges, the fear factor is starting to wear off. People who were once terrified of career suicide are now seeing an opportunity to tell their truth. And many of these stories allegedly involve both Diddy and Busta, suggesting they worked as a team in these situations. The feds aren't just sitting on this information either. Sources say they're actively building cases, connecting incidents across decades. Those private parties, turns out they might have been documented more thoroughly than anyone realized. The raids allegedly uncovered not just videos, but detailed records of who was there, who was invited, and what went down. And now Busta's reportedly in panic mode because some of these young artists who were allegedly exploited are starting to lawyer up. They're not just talking about inappropriate behavior anymore. They're talking about systematic abuse of power, coordinated efforts between Diddy and Busta to take advantage of vulnerable newcomers in the industry. The evidence allegedly shows, and no matter how much he tries to say he wasn't at those parties, the people know the truth. One person wrote on X, "I know Busta Rhymes missed them Diddy parties so bad." Another posted a picture of him at Diddy parties and captioned it, "Aaliyah, P. Diddy, Jennifer Lopez, Busta Rhymes and Hype Williams at Puffy's 4th of July party, 2000. Several artists have been coming forward with their stories, and let me tell you, what they're saying is raising some major eyebrows in the hip-hop community. This isn't just about party drama anymore. We're talking about some potentially serious allegations about power abuse in the industry. Let's break this whole situation down, because there's a lot to unpack here, and it seems like new details are coming out every day. Let's dive into this wild situation that's got everyone talking. You know how Busta's been out here lately, acting like he and Diddy were barely acquaintances? Man, that story just got blown wide open, and the receipts are hitting harder than one of his rapid-fire verses. For months now, Busta Rhymes has been playing this careful game of distance, especially since all the controversy around Diddy started heating up. He's been telling anyone who'd listen that he was never really in Diddy's inner circle, and definitely wasn't a regular at those infamous parties we've all heard about. The way Busta was telling it, you'd think he and Diddy barely crossed paths at industry events. But hold up, because TMZ just dropped a bomb that's got everyone questioning everything.
Happy New Year to the whole planet. God is the greatest. Real talk. And you know, I mean, if there's anything that somebody can say better than that, I'm all ears. But with that being said, continuous blessings to the whole entire universe.
I want to give a shout out to my brothers that have been inspiring me and been my friends for a long time. One of my best friends in the whole world, Busta Rhymes in the house. You know what I'm saying? He's been my friend for a long time, ever since I was like 12 years old. He's my best friend. He's in the house.
This fresh footage they leaked shows Busta not just at one of Diddy's legendary New Year's parties, but looking real comfortable, like he was right at home. We're talking about Busta in the thick of things, living it up like he owned the place. This wasn't some quick appearance either. The footage shows him fully integrated into the celebration, completely contradicting his recent claims of keeping his distance. What makes this even spicier is Diddy's behavior in the video. There's this moment where Diddy grabs the mic, and instead of just giving Busta a casual shout-out, he goes all in, calling him one of my best friends in the whole world. We're talking about Diddy getting emotional, talking about their friendship spanning decades, going back to when they were just kids. This wasn't some surface-level industry connection. Diddy was painting a picture of a deep personal friendship that went way beyond business. The timing of this footage couldn't be worse for Busta. Right when he's trying to separate himself from all the controversy surrounding Diddy, here comes this video showing them thick as thieves. It's got people asking some serious questions about why Busta felt the need to downplay their relationship in the first place. What's even more interesting is how this connects to other stories that have been floating around the industry. Industry insiders are now coming forward, talking about how Busta and Diddy's friendship wasn't just common knowledge, it was legendary in certain circles. They're saying these two were practically inseparable at major industry events, with Busta being a regular fixture at not just the New Year's parties, but at pretty much all of Diddy's major celebrations. The footage has sparked a whole new conversation about loyalty and truth in the hip-hop community. People are starting to dig deeper into other events and parties where both Busta and Diddy were present, and let's just say the evidence against Busta's claims of distance is stacking up fast. Social media is having a field day, pulling up old photos, videos, and interviews that show just how close these two really were. But here's where things get really interesting, because this isn't just about proving Busta wrong about attending some parties. The nature of their friendship, especially given recent allegations about both men's behavior in the industry, has people looking at their relationship in a whole new light. Some are suggesting that there might have been more to their connection than just partying and making music. Speaking of deeper connections, let's talk about what really got this whole conversation started: Orlando Brown's shocking allegations. When Brown first came out with his claims about Busta and several other high-profile celebrities, the industry tried to brush it off real quick. But looking back now, Maybe we should have paid more attention to what he was saying.
I'll give you this. You can willingly turn woman and have a bag, or you can do what I'm doing. You can willingly turn trans, or you can get in trouble and go to jail and get up, and they do it to you forcefully because you up and you didn't know what to do with your blessing. So, out of those two ways, me sitting here in one piece is not easy.
In what became one of the most talked about interviews in recent hip-hop history, Orlando Brown didn't just hint at inappropriate behavior. He named names, and he put Busta Rhymes right at the top of that list. The way Brown told it, there was a whole network of powerful industry figures involved in some seriously questionable activities, and he wasn't afraid to spell it out. He went into detail about encounters that, if true, would shake the foundation of how we view some of these industry veterans. Of course, the immediate response from the industry was to try and discredit Brown. Everyone was quick to point fingers at his past struggles, suggesting he was having some kind of episode or that his statements were the result of substance abuse. It was the classic playbook. Dismiss the messenger to avoid dealing with the message. Media outlets, industry insiders, and even fans were quick to write off his claims as the ramblings of someone who wasn't in their right mind. But then Brown did something that caught everyone off guard. He came back with a follow-up interview where he was completely lucid and stood firmly by every single word he'd said. This wasn't someone who was confused or making things up. This was someone who seemed determined to expose what he claimed was happening behind closed doors. In this interview, Brown was detailed, specific, and most importantly, he wasn't backing down. What made his follow-up statements even more compelling was how they aligned with whispers that had been circulating in industry circles for years. Brown wasn't just throwing out random accusations. He was providing details that seemed to connect with other stories that people had been too afraid to talk about openly. He spoke about specific locations, dates, and patterns of behavior that were hard to dismiss as mere fabrication. The really interesting part is how Brown's allegations started making more sense when you looked at them alongside other incidents and behaviors that had been documented over the years. He talked about specific parties and events where these encounters allegedly took place, and some of these details matched up with what other people had witnessed but never spoke about publicly.
And I'm like, oh, we about to go to this club around the corner. What's up? He said, you know, I got a section up in this place. We doing a little after party joint. It's like, you should come in and party with me. Now, all of this stuff ain't registering in my head. I'm in the moment, it's just happening so fast, you know, but I look back and I noticed this big bodyguard looking around the people, and, you know, he made eye contact with me. I guess he wanted to make sure I ain't flip mode. You know, but I stood there, Busta still holding my hand. I'm like, oh, word? Like, hell yeah, I come in. Well, you know, I was like, well, I got to tell my people, you know, because I'm here with some people, you know. They can come with me. Yeah, come on. You know, so I was like, word, you know, I was like, that's what's up. It was like, just let the people know that you part with me and they'll let you up to my section. I was like, bet. Now, at the time, I was heavy in the rap game. You know, I was in New York solely to make it as a rapper. That's why I moved to New York, you know, so, and Busta is one of my favorite artists, so I seen it as an opportunity, you know, to holler at him, politic with him, you know, build some type of relationship with him, you know, let him hear my music. He probably asked me what I do. I could be like, yo, I rap, you know, spit some bars for him, you know, I ain't know. But it was just like, I looked at it as an opportunity, you know. What's the chances of running into Busta Rhymes and he grab your hand and invite you up to his section? I wasn't thinking nothing of it. So I'm like, oh, word. So he lets my hand go. My boy standing there, you know, he stopped because he seen me standing there talking to him. He just was standing there. So when I leave, I walk to him. I'm like, yo, you know who that was? That was Busta. He was like, I know who it is. I'm like, that's Busta Rhymes. He was like, I know who it is. But he was acting a little funny. I was like, he just said we can come up in the club. Like, let's go to this spot. He was like, no, we not going in there. I was like, no, like, let's go here. Like, I don't want to go to this event. Like, we could go to this club. This is more popping. You know what I'm saying? Plus, Busta invited us in the section. You don't miss out on an opportunity like that. You know what I'm saying? He didn't care. He was like, nah, we ain't going up in there. So now I got an attitude. I'm like, well, we could go in there first and then we could go to this other party. You know what I'm saying? Nah, he ain't want to go. You know what I'm saying? His boy steadily trailing behind, you know, his twin. I'm like, forget it. You know what I'm saying? Like, now I gotta go in this spot. I'm not in a good mood. So I'm walking behind. He turns around and say, what's wrong with you? I'm like, man, like, I want to go in this club with Busta. Like, I could get on and, like, he invited us in this club. He was like, what you want from me? What you want me to do? I looked, I was like, a word? That's the type of time we on? He was like, what you need? What do you want? I'm like, damn, okay. Like, I kid to you not. He reached in his pockets, pulled out a whole bunch of cash, and threw it right in my face. His boy standing on the side looking. The money hit my face, fall down to the ground. You see 50s and 100s all on the ground. And I'm standing there like, salty as hell, embarrassed, disrespected. You just pulled out a wad of cash and threw it in my face. And he turns around and walks away, and I'm standing there.
Industry veterans started coming forward, not necessarily to confirm Brown's specific allegations, but to acknowledge that there had always been rumors about certain behaviors and patterns involving some of the names he mentioned. These weren't just random coincidences anymore. There seemed to be a pattern emerging that people couldn't ignore. And you know what? Things get worse when we look at how Busta handled himself during the whole Cassie and Diddy situation. When Cassie first dropped those bombshell allegations against Diddy, Busta did something that had a lot of people scratching their heads. He jumped to Diddy's defense real quick, and the way he did it raised more than a few eyebrows. Instead of staying quiet like most industry folks were doing, Busta came out with this wild statement about how everybody probably needs to mind their damn business until the truth is undisputed. Now let's keep it real. This wasn't just any regular lawsuit. We're talking about serious allegations that had receipts and details that had people shocked. So when Busta started preaching about minding business and talking about how he felt bad for both the victims and Diddy, people started side-eyeing him hard. What made his defense even more suspicious was the timing and the tone. Here's Cassie laying out these detailed accusations about a in control, and Busta's response was basically telling everyone to shut up about it. It didn't sit right with a lot of people, especially given how specific and serious Cassie's claims were. The hip-hop community, particularly women in the industry, were quick to call out how his statement came across as trying to silence victims rather than support truth-telling. But here's where it gets really interesting. As more allegations started coming out and the heat around Diddy started intensifying, Busta's tune suddenly changed. It was like watching someone trying to moonwalk away from their own words. He started doing this careful dance of trying to distance himself from both his previous defense of Diddy and from Diddy himself. You could almost see him realizing that maybe he'd picked the wrong side a little too quickly. The backpedaling was something to watch. First, it was subtle. Fewer public appearances together, no more social media interactions. Then it got more obvious. Busta started emphasizing in interviews how he wasn't really in Diddy's inner circle, how they weren't that close, how he was just showing support as a fellow artist, but people weren't buying it, especially since there was plenty of evidence showing just how tight they'd been over the years. What's really got people talking now is how this whole situation might be connected to something bigger. Some industry insiders are suggesting that Busta's quick defense of Diddy wasn't just about loyalty to a friend. It might have been about protecting himself too, because right around the time he started trying to distance himself from Diddy, some other stories started surfacing. But wait, what stories and who's giving out the details? It's big homie Double C. He's dropped some bombs that made everything else make sense. As Busta's former bodyguard, CC wasn't just speaking from hearsay. He was giving us the inside scoop, and what he had to say about Busta's alleged club behavior was straight up shocking.
I've seen you talking about Busta Rhymes before
Oh yeah.
in some of your videos.
Oh yeah. Super zest monster. For sure, bro. That's my thing, bro. Like, this been common knowledge though. Like, all my promoter homies would always say, man, you know, we gotta bring some we gotta bring some, what they call them, I'm not gonna say it on there. They call them fun boys. They'll say we gotta have some fun boys in the section for Busta. Cause you know, I bodyguarded for Ghostface Killer before, you feel me? And being around him, you hear things, you feel me? I'm like, damn. And my auntie like the biggest Busta Rhymes fan, you feel me? Like every cookout she playing it. All his little fast rapping, all of that, him and Craig Mack playing that.
According to big homie CC, there was this whole system in place at clubs when Busta would show up. We're not talking about your regular VIP treatment with bottles and sparklers. Nah, this was something entirely different. CC spilled that club promoters had specific instructions about who needed to be in Busta's section, and they weren't looking for Instagram models. The term fun boys kept coming up, and CC made it clear this wasn't about having a good time in the conventional sense. The way Double C tells it, this wasn't some one-off thing either. He's talking about a whole pattern that club promoters knew about and catered to. These VIP sections would be carefully curated with specific types of guests, all handpicked according to what CC claims were Busta's particular preferences. And here's the thing, apparently, this was such an open secret in certain circles that promoters would actually plan for it in advance. But it's the Don Benjamin incident that really got people talking. CC broke down this wild situation where Busta allegedly spotted someone in Don's crew. Specifically, this lawyer dude who was openly gay and completely switched up his whole energy. According to CC, the way Busta allegedly moved to get this guy into his section wasn't subtle at all. We're talking about straight up having security move people around to make it happen.
Bro, on my soul, I'm out with a group of people. At this time, I was with Don Benjamin. You familiar with him?
No, never heard of him.
Model dude, like a model guy. He be doing like some rapping and stuff. His name Don Benjamin. I'm out with Don Benjamin. And the club we ended up going to, Busta Rhymes in there. So it was a little lawyer guy that was with us. And the little lawyer guy we was with, you know, he was a gay dude, super cool, feel me, good guy. Bro, Busta Rhymes wanted him in his section so bad. Like, what? Pulled him to the section, like through the rope, and tucked him off in the corner. So I'm looking like, well, he ain't come with us. But I know he was in the little group. So if I go out with somebody, like a group of people, I try to make sure everybody get there together and leave together. No, he stayed with them. He stayed in there with them, bro. For sure, bro. You ain't never heard about this before, have you? Bro, this common knowledge, bro. Like, if you in the mix, bro. If you in the mix, like I've been in the mix, you know this, bro.
What makes CC's revelations even more credible is how far back they go. He's saying this behavior has been known about since at least 2012, which is a whole decade of stories and incidents that never made it to the public. CC claims that the only reason this stayed under wraps for so long was because of the perks that came with being in Busta's circle. Access to clubs, parties, industry events, you name it. The timeline Double C lays out matches up with what other industry folks have been whispering about. He's talking about specific events, particular clubs, certain patterns that kept repeating, and the way he describes Busta's alleged behavior, switching from aggressive with women to super interested in certain men. It's starting to paint a picture that's hard to ignore.
You go to these guys, they in the club, go to their section, it's all men in the section. That ain't weird to nobody. I'm going to the bar, sorry. Text me if it get dangerous. But there's all this club security in here, like nothing's finna happen. Nobody wanna kill you guys, bro. Like, when I get jobs from people who really got a threat on their life, I move way different. Anybody that's in the mix, bro, like you know, bro. Most of these dudes, bro, putting on a major act. They don't wanna be themselves.
It's crazy.
They'll get mad at you for buying bottles of champagne to get a girl. They'll get mad, oh, we don't want these bottle rats in our section. What are we here for? Why are y'all here then? What are y'all here for? Just cause y'all got booked to be here, okay, but sometimes they not booked. They just in there. So, and what they looking for, it ain't gonna be what you thinking of, on God, seen it.
But what's really wild is how CC's stories started connecting dots that nobody had put together before. Because right around the same time all this was supposedly going down in the clubs, there were other incidents happening that suddenly started making a lot more sense. Speaking of connecting dots, Triple E's story hit differently when it came out, especially now that we're seeing this pattern of how young artists in the industry were allegedly being approached. This wasn't just another random encounter. This was a calculated situation that shows exactly how these power dynamics allegedly played out. Trip Ali, who was trying to make it as a rapper in New York at the time, shared this wild story about a Halloween night that started innocently enough but quickly took a turn. According to Tripp, he was just another young artist hustling in the city, dreaming of making it big, exactly the kind of vulnerable position that industry veterans allegedly love to exploit. The way Tripp tells it, he was walking through a crowd when someone just casually slipped their hand into his, and that someone turned out to be Busta Rhymes, complete with his signature iced-out flip mode chain. Now here's where it gets interesting. Tripp says Busta didn't let go of his hand, kept the physical contact going while talking about taking him to some exclusive after-party section. Sound familiar? It's the same kind of setup that big homie CC was talking about with those VIP sections. But Tripp, being new to the industry and seeing this as his big break, wasn't picking up on the red flags. I mean, who wouldn't jump at the chance to network with one of hip-hop's legends, right? But Tripp's friends saw what was really going down. The way Tripp describes his boy's reaction is telling. Dude straight up refused to let Tripp go to that after party, even threw money in Tripp's face when he kept insisting. His friend wasn't just being difficult, he knew something Tripp didn't. And when you put this alongside what we know about how Diddy and Busta allegedly operated in the industry, targeting young artists trying to make it, it starts painting a pretty disturbing picture. The really messed up part? This wasn't just about one night or one party. Tripp's story fits right into this larger pattern we're seeing, where established artists like Busta and Diddy allegedly used their influence and power to put younger artists in compromising positions. The promise of industry connections, studio time, or career opportunities was apparently just the bait. What makes Tripp's story even more credible is how it lines up with the timeline of other incidents. This was happening right around the same time that other young artists were allegedly having similar experiences with both Busta and Diddy. The pattern was always the same: isolated encounters, promises of career advancement, and these weird private party invitations that nobody really talked about afterward. But here's where the story takes another turn, because right after Tripp's encounter became public, more people started coming forward with their own experiences. The layers of this story just keep getting deeper, especially when you look at how Busta's public behavior seemed to contradict what was allegedly happening behind closed doors. Let's talk about this wild duality, particularly how it connects to both his and Diddy's alleged pattern of exploiting young talent in the industry. First, let's address this crazy fast food incident that had everybody talking. Here's Busta, allegedly throwing homophobic slurs at a worker just because they wouldn't let him skip the line. The irony here is thick, especially considering what was about to come out. This public display of homophobia seemed like a classic case of overcompensation, particularly when you stack it against the mounting allegations about his private behavior. But then 2021 hits, and suddenly there's this sighting that flips the script completely. Paparazzi caught Busta allegedly leaving a Pride event, and not solo either. This wasn't just some random appearance. Witnesses described him looking pretty comfortable in an environment that completely contradicted his public persona. The timing of this sighting was particularly interesting because it came right when more young artists were starting to hint at inappropriate encounters within the industry. Speaking of young artists, this is where the connection between Busta and Diddy's alleged behavior patterns gets really concerning. Multiple sources started coming forward with stories about how both men allegedly operated using similar playbooks. They'd reportedly target upcoming artists, especially those who were new to the industry and desperate for their big break. The pattern was always the same: promises of studio time, career advancement, and private meetings that often turned into something else entirely. Industry insiders have been whispering about how these two would allegedly tag team situations. While Diddy might host the party, Busta would allegedly work the room, using his influence to make young artists feel special and singled out. It was like a good cop, bad cop routine, but with much darker implications. Young rappers would get invited to these exclusive gatherings, thinking they were about to get their big break, only to allegedly find themselves in compromising situations. What's really disturbing is how this system allegedly worked like a well-oiled machine. Sources say that both Busta and Diddy had their own teams who knew exactly what to look for and how to approach potential targets. They'd supposedly scout talent at clubs, industry events, and even through social media, always looking for those who seemed most vulnerable or eager to make it in the industry. The allegations suggest that their collaboration went beyond just music. There are reports of shared private parties, exclusive gatherings where young artists would be invited under the pretense of networking, only to allegedly find themselves in situations they weren't prepared for. These weren't just random occurrences. We're talking about what appears to be a systematic approach to exploiting their positions of power in the industry. And here's where it gets even messier, because more recent allegations suggest that this behavior didn't stop with just these two. There's apparently a whole network of industry veterans who operated in similar ways, all connected through these private parties and exclusive events. The stories coming out now suggest that what we're seeing with Busta and Diddy might just be the tip of the iceberg. The walls of silence in the industry are finally starting to crack. And what's coming out about Busta and Diddy's alleged operation is more disturbing than anyone initially thought. With Diddy now facing serious legal troubles, people are starting to connect dots that paint a pretty terrifying picture of how power was wielded in the hip-hop industry. Let's break down why everyone stayed quiet for so long. It wasn't just about the obvious perks of being in Busta's circle, the VIP access, the connections, the studio time. Nah, this was about survival in the industry. Sources are now saying that both Busta and Diddy allegedly had this unspoken system of rewards and consequences. You played by their rules, kept your mouth shut, and doors opened. You spoke up, those same doors slammed shut, and sometimes worse. What's really got people talking now is how Busta's pattern of aggressive behavior, especially towards women, might have been a smokescreen. While he was out here publicly beefing with female fans and workers, behind the scenes, there was allegedly this whole other operation going on. The aggressive public persona served as perfect cover for what was really happening in those private sessions and exclusive parties. So, what do you think? Comment down below and let us know. If you like this video, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be the first to see my next video. I post updates like this every week where I uncover the secrets of your favorite celebrities.